Good afternoon. We are team number one, and we are going to present our research on the effects of machine translation on language learning in training students. The introduction. Well, this research is grounded in a qualitative approach, as outlined by Creswell, and this study seeks to explore the perception, experiences, and attitudes of training students towards the use of machine translation in their language learning. This study, therefore, aims to provide a rich, descriptive, descriptive account of how training students utilize machine translation, how it influences their motivation, confidence, and language awareness, and how they negotiate the tensions between technological assistance and linguistic autonomy. Our research problem in this case will only refer to the negative effects caused by the excessive use of or dependence of these automatic translation tools, as they threaten critical thinking, language skill acquisition, fluency, and knowledge retention among students in training. This study aims to address this issue by investigating the effects that students experience when using these tools in their work.
Research questions. How does the use of machine translation affect language learning among training students? How impactful is the excessive reliance of these tools in the quality of their academic translations? Which are the potential risks and benefits of the usage of these tools? What strategies can be used to promote responsible and use and foster essential translation skills? Objectives. Identify and explain how translation students use machine translation tools. In consequence of this, we branch our project into the following secondary objectives. Analyze the impact of excessive reliance on these tools on the quality of their academic translation. Propose strategies that promote responsible use while fostering the development of essential translation skills. Assess the potential risks and benefits.
Now, for methodology, population and sample, the case study methodology aligns directly with our research problem, which focuses on how translation students use and rely on machine translation tools and how this affects the quality of their academic translation. The population of this study consists of students enrolled in the sixth semester of the specialty in Lingüística aplicada en la enseñanza y traducción del inglés at the Faculty of Philosophy and Letters, Universidad Autónoma de Nuevo León during the sixth semester. Given the limited size of the target population, which is approximately 10 to 15 students, the study will employ a census approach aiming to include all members of the cohort in the data collection process. Now, for the justification, widespread use of machine translation. Students at all levels increasingly rely on tools like Google Translate for translation, vocabulary, and grading tasks because these tools are fast, free, and accessible. Technological and educational relevance. The COVID-19 pandemic increased dependency on digital tools, making MT an inevitable part of foreign language learning. Research gap. Despite global interest, there is limited research in the Turkish EFL context examining how MT affects translation performance. Mixed opinion in prior studies. While MT is considered a useful and innovative learning tool, it also causes issues like mistranslations, loss of motivation, and over-reliance.
Now we're going to analyze results. In the first place, we have empty usage patterns, which are identifying student integration. The first objective identifies how translation students use machine translation tools. The first subcode is frequency of use. The data segment question is, I use machine translation tools such as Google Translate, DeepL, etc. in my academic tasks. The frequency is daily, more than a half of the participants, and weekly, less than a half of the participants. So the synthesis and memo is that the totality of the student samples uses MT regularly. This confirms MT as a fixture in the training environment. Then the second subcode is purpose of use. The data segment question is, I use MT mainly for understanding complex text, half of the participants, vocabulary verification, one-third of the participants, and drafting initial translations, which is one-fifth of the students. And finally, the synthesis memo, which is MT is primarily utilized as a comprehension aid and a verification tool, aligning with the call framework. Number two, impact and quality, analyzing dependency and accuracy. The second objective analyzes the impact of excessive reliance on NT on the quality of academic translations. The subcode is over reliance on technology. I often find myself relying on MT rather than attempting the translation myself first. The frequency is less strongly agreed, less than half of the participants, and agreed, which is the other half of the participants. And almost all the students report relying on MT. This indicates that MT is frequently used as a definitive solution, threatening to critical thinking. And perceived quality effect. Using MT affects the final quality of my academic translations. The frequency was negatively half of the students, positively one-third of the students, and no change on the other and the one-fifth of the students. Half the sample recognizes a negative impact, supporting the hypothesis that excessive reliance may hinder language production.
The third, and risks and benefits, the third objective focus on assessing the potential risks and benefits of MT uses, and subcall benefits scaffolding in data segment questions, MT expense of the translation process and help me understand the source text. Frequency agree. More than half of the students strongly agree. One-third of the students, synthesis of the students agree. MT so self-limitedly access to linguistic input. And so-called risk linguistic autonomy and data segment questions. I am concerned and raise linguistic autonomy and data segment questions. I am concerned that using MT is hindering my development of linguistic skills. And frequently, strongly agree. Half of the students agree less than half of the students. In sentences, almost all the students express concern. Students recognize they immediately consumes, but fear it limits the pair processing required for the professional component. And data segment questions error from MTR often subtle and hard to detect. And frequency agree more than half of the students strongly agree. One-fifth of the students in synthesis, almost all the students agree. This highlights a critical professional risk has undetected errors compromise the translator's reputations. For the next, strategies for responsibility use, pedagogical needs, the fourth objective, So to propose a strategy for responsibly use and skills fostering, subcode, pedagogical needs, data segment questions. I would like my translation classes to incorporate specific instruction on how to use MT tools responsibly. Frequency is strongly agree. More than half of the students agree. Less than half of the students. And sentences, a total consensus. This demands pedagogical guides to move students from criteria and relations to inform responsibly use. In the end, for the conclusions, is the finds indicates that the use of machine translations MT affects language learning among training students in both support, supportive and limiting ways. MT assists learners by improving text comprehensions, providing key access to vocabulary, and facilitating the initial stages of the translation. They also report that MT is most helpful for vocabulary clarifications and general comprehensions, which becomes harmful when used to replace independent translation effort. And finally, participants emphasize strategies such as post-edit, dictionary verifications, and comparing multiple tools and essentials practice for promoting responsible MT use in academic context.